All right, here we go. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Sesh. Today I got a special guest. Manny, introduce yourself, bro.
Hi, how's it going? Manny Castellanos. I would just say e-commerce entrepreneur.
I would say
jack of all trades.
I was talking to Rob earlier, and I was like, "Hey, this guy's coming on the podcast, and he looks at you all chingo." I was like, "How tall do you think he is?"
I'm 5'8", 5'9". People will say I look
tall,
like 5'6",
man.
5'7".
And you're built like a fucking truck, bro.
Yeah. Well, I got into bodybuilding when I was around 19. My uncle was a bodybuilder. He was out of Mission. And I remember growing up, I was really fat. And
I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, really fat. And then kind of like not a social outcast, but just very annoying. And I still am. But I think I'm a little bit more charismatic, and I think I'm more tactful in the way I speak.
Yeah.
And I read the room a little bit better. And
how old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay, you're young.
Yeah, very young. Yeah. So I went to Edinburgh North, so you can ask most people there. Growing up, I was just always kind of, just chunky and I played baseball. Wasn't really, I didn't know what I was doing. So getting into bodybuilding gave me a little bit of purpose, and actually it's kind of like where I started with, overall, business.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing that I found, because I just started my journey in March last year, and I lost weight, and now I'm gaining weight, and now I'm cutting again. So I've seen the discipline that I've had to have.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to fucking build muscle,
Yeah.
quality muscle. And the crazy part is it's hard and expensive to keep. It is a luxury item.
It is.
You cannot cheat any process of it, dude.
Yeah, I would say though that what you're doing is investing in yourself. For me, I think I take it to a very much of an extreme.
You have those tendencies as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, it's either one or the other. I'm literally doing nothing, or I'm doing everything all at once.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing when it comes to the physicality that I put out into like working out. I mean, right now I wake up at 4 and I'm at the gym by 5.
Damn.
And I'm there depending on my schedule for either an hour or it's 2 hours. And if I have to do something less than an hour, I'll squeeze in 30 minutes and then go back for a second.
What does your workout look like?
So it's a push-pull situation. Mondays, usually doing legs, and then Fridays as well. And then chest Tuesdays, Wednesdays back and buys. Thursdays.
So you're working out how many times a week?
6 times a week. Yeah. But the problem is that it's become something of a staple in my life. And if I don't do it, I'm very irritable. It's like if I don't eat. So if I can fast maybe for 16 hours, but don't talk to me.
Yeah, nearing the end of the fast is like, fuck, you're hyper focused on a lot of things, and food's one of them.
Yeah, well, it's because, so like with having so much muscle, you tend to have like a lot of cravings because you're constantly wanting to replenish that glucose. And one of the biggest things that I have cravings for is something I got from my dad, eating pastries. So I like cookies.
Rio Grande Valley loves that stuff, man.
I recently heard the Albas went out, and I was so sad because I remember as a child, going through Mission, because I was in Edinburgh. I was born in McAllen, but raised in Edinburgh and Mission. Just watching the Albas and going there and getting
Rio Grande Valley staples, man.
Yeah, I know. And then Delias, every time I come here is Delias and El Rodeo. Yeah, I gotta get my tacos or taco de botana, because there's none in San Antonio.
Dude, so then what does your diet look like? Because for you to be able to keep that consistently, you have to be eating a fucking 4,000 calories?
It depends. Recently, I haven't really been tracking. I've given myself... I used to be very stringent with my diet, and I think that it caused an overload and kind of... I would focus more on bodybuilding or at least, maintaining my overall weight more so than like other aspects of my life. So right now, I eat 4 square meals, and sometimes I get a shake in, but I mean, it's nothing different from other people. I think it's really just my overall intensity in my workouts.
So you're working out to eat?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I love food. One of the biggest things I really enjoy, a lot of people will sit here and talk about money and say that money's bad, but what I do for money, or why I work so hard for money, is because I like experiences and I love food.
Yeah.
So I love to travel, and I like to just order everything on a menu.
So how does a 30-year-old get this much motivation, and not only the motivation, because you're married, you have kids. How do you find the time, and how does that look like from a family perspective? Like Pops is out doing work making a living so we can live how we live,
Yeah.
just like that. How do you internalize that?
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of aspects of my life that a lot of people like I haven't shared with. Can't go too much into detail, but yeah, there's still the aspect of like having the relationship and, you know, with your kids and balancing work and life. Primarily, it's a lot of FaceTiming, a lot of just, you know, situating yourself as, you know, the person that you wanted to be or the father that you wanted to be that maybe your parents weren't, you know, everything that you might have seen different growing up. You try to not, you know, do it yourself in life. I always knew growing up that I was different from other people. I don't understand exactly why, but I would always see myself saying like, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to do what, you know, my uncles and my aunts are doing. It's primarily a border town, you know. Yeah. Things happen here, you know. You're not usually always on the legal side. So I just wanted to get away, and I knew that the way that I was cut from a different fabric and a different cloth. So I really just focus on making sure that I talk to my kids every single day about understanding that, you know, life is you know, filled with, you know, different situations, and that I'm always going to be there to help them no matter what. So I balance that with also talking about it during work with my clients as well. Making sure that, you know,
you're very transparent.
Yeah, I'm very transparent with everybody as far as, you know, my clients and what I do. Because for the most part, if you're doing things and there's no purpose as far as, you know, family or, you know, in the pursuit of that or some type of happiness to, you know, share with somebody or your kids or, you know, relatives or anything like that, like something that gives you fire, then you're really doing, it's empty. Yeah. So for me, everything is for my kids at the end of the day.
I agree, man, because I've had the conversation with my kid, like, well, why do you always have to leave? Why do you always have to go somewhere? I was like, well, this is how I make a living so we can live here, so we can eat, so we can do the things that we want to do, right? So I think at their age, they don't understand. They just see dad gone. But I think having those conversations, it really opens up the line for communication in the future, especially with like kids. My daughter's going to be 12.
Wow.
So I have to deal with preteen. Yeah. And it's going to get worse, I hear. So
yeah. 12. I got 2 daughters and I got 1 boy. Yeah. Actually, a lot of people don't know I have a boy because I haven't shared that.
Yeah. That's a very interesting thing. I was talking about this last time about showing your kids on social media. Yeah. And for an entrepreneur like me, I don't want people to know about my life. The less they know about it, the better, because then I come from an angle where I can just be me, the salesman. I can get with people and I can talk to people and use social media for what I want to use it for, or to be able to find success through the internet. So I think a lot of people feel like they have to show their whole life, and you really don't.
I'll tell you what, me and you have been friends on Facebook. Actually, it's really funny. We haven't met each other in person.
This is the first time we meet.
This is the first time we meet, but we have mutual friends. And a lot of people don't know I have a son. I you know, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when I really got serious with everything I was doing with business, I focused on not sharing a lot of my personal life. I always, you know, you knew me as the chon chon.
You're right.
And there I was a little bit more open. But there's a lot of aspects to my life that a lot of people now don't really know about. And it's intentional because at the end of the day, I don't want people coming into my life and interpreting something or influencing, you know, some of my decisions based off of what they see on the internet. I like to be silly. I like to enjoy myself. And I also like to be extremely professional when I have to.
No, you're absolutely right. Because if you talk to anybody, if you talk to one person, that person already has a perception of you.
Oh yeah.
That is
100%.
Your reputation.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
I've actually, I was, I think in San Antonio at a random bar, because one of the things I like to do is after a long week, I like to go and have a couple of drinks, and they're like, "Are you Chon Chon?" And I was like, "Man, I haven't been that for like 3 years," you know. And it's just funny because there is a perception that like I am, you know, a silly guy, which I am, right? But
I love all the stuff you post on Facebook. I laugh at it all the time internally. Some of it's just...
it's super bad, and that's why it's private. And, you know, and the reason for that is because I like sharing, you know, my silly side. My Instagram's open, but you know, my stories are open. So it's completely open. It's just not private. I'm trying to think how I have it set up. So the stories are open, but the Instagram is private. That's what it is.
Okay.
So anybody can go on and silly memes, and it's because I'm all day, every day. I'm so like honed in on being professional with my clients. Yeah, it's my escape. Yeah.
Entertainment,
exactly.
man. The only way you can build a powerful brand on social media, a powerful personal brand, is through education, information, or entertainment, or a mixture of all three.
Yeah, and that's another interesting thing. A lot of people don't know what I do. I mean, I think you were asking, what am I doing now?
Yeah, what are you doing now?
I just post up checks about everything that I do, and I tell people, hey, you could do this, and I share some aspects of what I do, but they're kind of just tidbits.
Let me ask you this, because I've thought about this a lot, and I think when somebody's posting something that this is what they're doing now, and then they do something else, this is what they're doing now, and then they post something else, this is what they're doing now. I, as an entrepreneur, love to dabble into many different things, and I want to see different things become successful that I've had a hand in.
Yeah.
How do you see people's perception of that, of you, or of that idea in general, where they're going from this to this to this?
Yeah. Well, I've always been all over the place, but so I have a mentor, or he used to be a mentor of mine, Jaime Rodriguez. His son is the lead singer for Mayberry. I don't know if you know Esteban. Yeah, and he always taught me of 4 quadrants, family, spirituality, financial, and then health. So I apply that. The only thing is that what he didn't tell me was like, I apply that for every aspect of every business that I get into, and I'm everywhere.
Yeah.
For me though, it's, I know I always get told, focus on one thing and be the best at it. But I always tell them, well, just watch me be the best at everything that I do.
Right.
So, and because you can turn it back around. And I truly think that, for me, as far as in e-commerce, we're one of the best, I would say, actually in the world. It's not even something as far as a joke that I would say. And then when it comes to overall sales, I say I'm top tier. We do about 30% close rate, especially me when I'm on the phones. And then when it comes to just seeking opportunities, I like to be able to solve problems, especially for friends, if I can make them money. Like for instance, my cousin's getting into a hedge fund, and he can go straight from flipping a home and not having to post it on the MLS and sell it directly to the hedge fund. So what it does, it allows us to kind of open up the floodgates to multitude of different homes at the same time and crowd raise. And now what we can do is create some type of, like an equity fund where somebody can come in and they want to invest, $20,000, $40,000, and we maybe, give them a 10 to 20% return, and they're seeing their money grow, but we're also selling the house, and then we're giving it people opportunity. And that's something that I haven't really ever seen before, and it's something that
it's a new model type thing.
Yeah, and it's something that it was kind of a collaboration. He flips the houses in Houston. I mean, he's amazing. Andrew A. Smith, shout out to my cousin. I mean, A. Smith Homes, he's been phenomenal. He's been killing it for the past 5 years. Talk about a corporate guy going and doing the entrepreneur thing. He used to be a vice president for emergency sales for Nova Medical, and I mean, he's my mentor like from the beginning. Everything that's ever happened in my life, if it's good or bad, he's the first person I call.
Well, it's interesting, dude, because entrepreneurship is the only thing that you do not have a ceiling of how much money you can make.
Oh yeah,
ever.
Yeah,
like it depends on your work ethic. So how did you get that work ethic?
Just being poor, man. I could tell anybody to go, and you can still see the trailer I grew up in until I was around when I got moved to San Antonio. I was I believe 23 and a half, 24 when they moved me. Matheson Tri-Gas, because I did industrial gas sales. I worked for a company called Air Gases. It was a multi-billion-dollar company, and they have a local office here on 23rd. Excuse me, and worked there for a little bit, and then I got poached by the competitor, which is Matheson. But even in that time, I was kind of still living with my parents, and I didn't really have direction. And I was married, and I had kids, and I was trying to still figure my stuff out. And you can go see my trailer right now. It's on 8 miles in Taylor Road in Mission. I mean, falling apart. My wife was pregnant. at the time, and she, we had rats, cockroaches.
So it was out of sheer desperation that you had to fucking make it.
Yeah. And when I say I'm like, every day I wake up like the rents do. Oh man, I wake up every day like the rents do.
It's an interesting thing though, because I talked to quite a bit of people and a lot of them seem very comfortable.
Yeah.
What is it about just finding comfort and not doing the things that are hard that you're supposed to do that will make you successful? What is it that most people just can't grasp, or why don't they get it or understand?
I think it's because it's a cultural thing that, that we were sold this dream, this pipe dream of the American dream, but it's slowly becoming, a lot harder to do that and a lot easier to go the other way, actually. Mm-hmm. If you have some type of, I was having a conversation with a kid the other day, and he said he was a barber and he was tired of being a barber. And I said, but you're good at that. He's like, but I want more money. And I said, well, you know what you could do is you can stay a barber, then save enough money, open up a shop, get that shop, open up 2 or 3, and then open up your own barber school. He's like, I never thought about that. And I was like, because you're not forward thinking, you're thinking about right now. Overall, a lot of people have just been told, if you wake up every single day and you work this 9 to 5, you take care of your family, you do good by everybody, you're going to be successful. But success is determined subjectively and by the person themselves.
And that's not to say a 9 to 5 job is a bad thing, because the world needs people.
Need that.
We need people.
100%. And what I do and what others do as far as entrepreneurial and building businesses and selling and everything, it's not for everybody.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
definitely
like,
not. There's a lot of punches in the face, man.
Yeah, well, I'll say it's just like for me, like I can't run a marathon, and I'm not going to, you know. But everybody's built differently, and primarily, at the end of the day, you're either cut out for it or you're not. But the thing is that you should at least try.
At least try.
Yeah, you should at least try once, figure out something, and the other thing is that we were built to be told and feel like if you failed, like you're a complete failure and utterly, from your ground up. But that's not the case. The thing is that you had, excuse my language, but you had the fucking balls to do something that most people didn't have, the balls to do in the first place. I'll tell you, when I started in doing this, I left to San Diego, California with a hope and a dream, and I turned that into $1.3 million, in the span of like 5 months.
Wow.
And in doing that, people were like, "What?"
Let's dive a little deeper into that story then. Tell me how you achieved that within 5 months.
So I got a call from a random friend that he was like, "Hey man, I just got to San Diego, California. I want to do a startup. Let's do, start selling stores." And I was in the middle of like transitioning from Matheson because I was getting jaded, because I was run down. I was like, I can't work a nine to 5. Like this is, I wasn't even working a 9 to 5. I was gone 4 or 5 days out of the week.
Yeah.
And traveling. I think I was doing like about 4,000 or 5,000 miles a month in driving. So I left that and I went to another company. And then in the process of being trained, he calls me. He's like, "You gotta leave tomorrow."
Shit.
And I said, "Okay." And I said, "All right." He's like, "I just booked you a ticket. You're jumping on." So I went there and I ended up landing in San Diego, California around March, April time. And, he said, "Hey, I need you to build a script on sales because I know you're good at sales. And then I need you to start texting all these people and we have a lead source." And we toyed with a few different things. We had ClickFunnels and things like that and, social media ads. But then I came up with a very unique way to sell what I sell. I'm not going to say it because it's proprietary on this podcast. And it's kind of how I make money as well. But primarily we went from doing that and I basically scaled. I did everything. I did from intro call to text message to emails to closing to contract negotiations.
So let's dive a little bit deeper into that because I think this is one of the things that I always talk about is people that have skills will make money, but when you skill invest, you can make as much as you possibly want. So what I say is you have to get your skill and then get skills all around it that all feed each other.
Yeah.
That way you can put them all together and become a superpower.
Yeah.
That's what you pretty much did, right?
That's what we pretty much did, and unfortunately my relationship with him crumbled afterwards because I did make him so much money. And then, I've never been a selfish person. But we had a super team. And then afterwards, I basically got with one of my business partners, Matt Pliskin, and we ended up just taking our whole team and then selling a sales process and then going from provider to provider and offering our services. So then we grew that into us doing it to where we're selling the entire process, and we're also doing it for them if they want.
Interesting. So then streamline the whole process.
Yeah, streamline the whole process. And now, we've gone from the past 3 years that I've been doing it. Every single business that we've touched within the first 6 months, we take them to at least $1 million in revenue.
Damn.
Within the first 6 months.
So how are you achieving those results?
Oh man, through basically marketing. So the way that I market, it's going directly to qualified prospects, and in that process, they go through our funnel, and then we have our automated system that.
Are you paying advertising?
Yeah, I pay advertising. So it depends on the level of qualification for that prospect, and then in that they go through the automation system in our funnel. And then we get them on an intro call, and then after that we sit down with them, and we put them through into a Zoom. So a lot of people, especially in sales, what they've recently I saw at the very beginning is that they were making it more transactional instead of more relational. And for me, I've always been a relational guy. In fact, when I was at Matheson, I would get into arguments with my boss. His name was Michael Juergen. And he said that because I told him when he was hiring me, I told him I want to make $1 million. And he says, well, do you have something that yields 10%, at least 100,000 to compound on that? And he said, and I said, no. He's like, you're not going to be a millionaire. Well, I'm 30 and I'm a millionaire. Nice. And
do you feel like it's those conversations that somebody tells you that you can't do? Because it only goes like when somebody tells me that I can't do something, I'll do it on purpose to defy them, whatever.
I wrote him an email.
Is that your same mentality?
Yeah. No, I wrote him an email. I sent it to his email. I don't think he works for the company anymore, but I sent it to his company email. And I told him, hey, remember when you told me? Well, I did it when I was 29. Nice. And you can kiss my ass,
Yeah.
But yeah,
I feel like without people like that in your life that come along, you would not have the success you would have.
I would say that, and also the fact that what it does is that I look at my kids and I say, like, if somebody ever told you that, I want you to go and instead of hitting them in the mouth, I want you to just do actions that show them that it's like. Not physicality, but what you do and what you accomplish that hits them in the mouth.
Yeah.
And then it slaps them like, oh my God. Because I mean, to be quite honest, most people that knew me in high school and they see me now, it's like gobsmacking. They freak out and they're like,
the term is
what happened?
Success is what is it? The term is success is the best revenge.
Yeah, I would say so. I think at the end of the day, that still doesn't matter. I think it's really what's really important is cultivating, a good atmosphere for your kids and, your family, making sure that you're taking care of them. And then as successful as you may want to be, you're doing it mainly to gain more freedom, and more time with them, most of all. To kind of go back, to what we were talking about as far as our overall, for the company, that's the main goal, what we're doing. I work hard, but luckily I do have the opportunity to be, with my kids for the most part, when I'm doing these sales calls. I travel mainly because sometimes I get tired of them.
Yeah. You escape.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, dude. The sales funnel, I believe that sales is the number one skill that anybody can learn.
Yeah.
So if you were to distill it down into the best tips that you've ever had during sales, during all your time of calling people, how many calls have you been on, would you say?
I would say probably like around 10,000.
So what have you learned? Give me the top 5 tips for being a salesman and closing deals.
Treat people like people. Be completely honest, transparent. Don't bullshit people because they can smell it through a Zoom call. Mm-hmm. I would say, so the way that you have to believe in the product and the system, and it's not a yes or a no, it's more of like how much, because if you can believe it in 10%, 20%, and Alex Hormozy actually talks about this. I don't know if you know who Alex is.
Yeah, I follow him.
And he made some really good point when you're selling something. If you don't believe in it in the system, you're not going to be good at selling it.
The thing is, it's very hard to find something that you believe in. And
Yeah.
when you do, that's when you fucking go all out. But
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it takes years to get to that point.
Yeah. I think it's also about cultivating whatever system or service or product that you're selling. And if you find somebody that you're trying to sell for and they're not doing it right, and you take the initiative to go do it right yourself.
Yeah.
So you take the initiative. So that plays into, those are 4 things for sales. 5, I would say that, when you're selling, don't sell for yourself, sell for your team. Because if you eat, everybody eats. And that's the way I've always done it. You can ask any of my teammates, actually, Richard.
Yeah.
I work my ass off every single day to make sure that if I make a sale or somebody else makes a sale or I can assist in a sale, it's because they're feed their family.
Yeah, because I mean, the more experience you get, the better you'll get.
Oh yeah.
Period.
Yeah. You can digress too. I think at the end of the day, though, it's practice. I think you got to apply the psychology and the overall verbiage and tonality that you're using within your sales, primarily because through real life scenarios, like when you go to a bar or you're trying to talk to a woman or you're talking to your significant other and you kind of want to like get them to do something that
close the deal.
Yeah, want to close the deal. Or you're trying to talk to your kids. You apply the psychology in the sales process. And the way that you speak to people through work, and you apply it, because then what happens is it kind of just meshes into your fabric of who you are.
Yeah.
And I'll catch myself telling my kids, "Do you understand? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you need me to explain anymore?
Yeah.
Am I being transparent? Is there anything that you need?"
But it works.
Oh, it works.
It works.
Yeah, it works. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing I learned from Alex Hormozy so for example, I'm selling butter, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, I would love some." They message me and say, "All right, I have it available in 2 sizes, 6 ounce, 12 ounce. How much do you want?" Instead of waiting for them to come on, I say, "How much do you want?" At that point, they're forced to pick one of the 2 options.
Yeah.
And as soon as I say the option, I send them my Cash App and I get the money. It has closed my sales by 99%, dude.
I'll tell you what, one of the things that I do whenever I'm, talking to somebody and I say a follow up, for, another meeting because they want to speak to me directly, I say, "Oh, does Monday at, 1 p.m. work, or does, 3 p.m. work?" And by
You give them the options.
I give them only 2 options. And the reason for that is directive. You're basically telling them that's all I'm available for, and you take it or leave it. Yeah. And then even for instance, like when somebody doesn't show up to a meeting, I'm very stern with them because my time is valuable. And
absolutely.
if you're looking for a business opportunity or any type of investment and you don't take the time to actually look at things and actually digest anything, then you're not a serious person, and I don't want to do business with you.
Yeah, I think it's strange because a lot of people are presented opportunities, but they don't take them.
Yeah.
Like they're literally given it in their hands and they still will not take it. What is it? Is it fear?
Actually, so it's funny you say that. So I went to UTRGV and I had a professor named Joe Cantu. And he actually told me, he said, because he said I was really gifted in the way that I spoke. And he really liked the way that my energy and everything. And he said, "Manny, you're like lightning in the sky." And I'm getting to the point. But he said, "You're like lightning in the sky." And he pointed at an outlet and he says, "You're like, lightning is the same." He's like, "But you gotta be focused like an outlet." And basically he said, by focusing, what you're able to do is you're able to actually slow down everything and then view life for what it is and actually understand what opportunities are coming at you. I think that a lot of people have curtains over their eyes, or like a racehorse.
Yeah.
They have tunnel vision. They have the side caps. They don't know what the opportunity is, and a lot of people just are afraid to say yes and then have to do the work.
Yeah.
For me, if I can't do the work, I'll find somebody. I'll pay that person, and then I'll charge the difference, and I'll work and build a team. And then guess what? Maybe that's a different business, I can start.
Yeah, the thing is that you will find a way to get it done after you've most likely sealed the deal. At that point, you have to figure it out.
I think, Richard Branson says it, always say yes and then figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
So, those are some things. I mean, I read books and listen to podcasts all the time. And I just get all these great tidbits, from people who...
Little golden nuggets.
yeah, man, that just, you know, it makes sense. It's kind of like that puzzle piece that falls from the sky and it lands perfectly, you know, with what you need to hear sometimes.
So how do you learn? So it took me 40 years to figure out how I learned. I can't read because then the words seem jumbled.
Yeah.
I can listen, I can look at video and learn really quick. How do you learn?
So there's a few things that I do. I listen to podcasts. I watch videos. I'll buy books and then buy the podcast, or the audio as well. And then I'll put that 2-speed and then I'll try to read the book as fast as I can. And then I'll go back and then I'll read it myself and then take notes, you know, as I go. But, you know, The Art of the Sale, Atomic Habits are some of the ones that I really like. I think I sent you maybe 1 or 2 books. I don't remember. When it comes to the psychology of sales, how to influence people.
Have you heard of $100 Million Offers?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
No, you haven't read it? I want to order it now.
Yeah.
It's been on my list of things to get, but I just don't want to order the audio, or not the audiobook, the actual, the book.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things that when I dived into this business, especially e-commerce, I was always used to like going and meeting people in person, and I had to watch other people fail at it and then see what I would do different. And then, I toyed with, scripts. At one point I was giving people, a project to do while I was on the sales call.
Wow.
Where they had like 3 pillars. And these are the 3 pillars of success.
It's very hard to find those people because it takes a certain person to have the capability to sit down and go through that conversation.
Yeah.
So how did you sharpen your e-commerce skills? Like selling in person is one thing. Selling online where people don't know you, where they already have a perceived perception of you, is different. So how did you find success with that?
Yeah, I was really scared initially when I was like having to like take wires for like $75,000 from people that I've never met and never will meet ever, right? For an asset that we build or a provider builds and in their contract with that person for a year or 2. And I think what it was is like most things, I always say, well, one foot in front of the other. I'm going to figure it out one way or another.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it's a matter of time. So I think I always say, if you dig long enough, hard enough, you're going to strike oil or gold. In one way or another, it's if I strike gold or oil, I'm going to be rich.
And with the power of the internet, you can literally find it right there and implement it right there.
And that's why I looked at like Alex Hormozy, Russell Brand, ClickFunnels and all these different things. Russell Brunson. And I just implemented a lot of I emulated. And one of the things is I do look at how they speak and they act, and I kind of just emulate what they do, and then I add it into notes, or I add it into my sales script. Before I used to, like I say, give people the option for a schedule. Now I don't. Before I used to say, oh, it's okay, don't worry, things come up all the time, but most of the time it's an excuse for them to say no because they don't want to do it. And I'd rather you just tell me no.
Yeah, it saves us time.
It saves us time.
The no is as good as the yes.
But yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. It was a lot of having to see people do it themselves on YouTube. I think one of the biggest things is YouTube for a lot of people. I don't think people use it enough as a resource. They consume just garbage and news when you can actually use it for money making businesses.
Dude, I was watching some Jordan Peterson video the other day on how much money he makes. He was saying that he makes $200,000 a month off his personally for himself, at $80,000 a month from his Patreon. I forget how many thousands of copies he sells in his book. So he's getting money from every different thing.
Angle.
That's the only way you can survive nowadays.
Yeah,
is you have to become rich.
You have to.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. You have to control every angle of your business. And if you're third partying it, what you're doing is you're leaving money on the table. Like for instance, as I started going through the e-commerce business, I said, well, we're selling for one person. Why can't we duplicate this and create a sales process and a sales team? And then we get a piece of everything. And then afterwards, I jumped in and I said, well, why can't we get with a provider and then they, build us the back end and then we sell it in the front end, right? And then we still keep duplicating this.
So it's like a SaaS business?
Yeah. Huh?
It's a SaaS
kind of like a SaaS business, but what we're doing is they're building out the asset and then we're selling the front end contract.
So the software is the asset.
The asset, yeah. Well, it's what the asset is going to be an online store that you're selling products, either doing the third party distribution or you're arbitrating. And in that, you're generating an ROI or certain margins on each and every product sold. My problem was like I kept on seeing that there was meat on the bone and we were leaving it for other people when we were doing most of the work. We were finding the people, we were selling the people, and we were getting the wires, getting the contracts. I should be paid more. And it's not out of selfishness, it's just out of the sheer fact that I'm putting in more sweat equity than you are. Obviously it's a long process to maintain an asset over 2 years, but I'm at least getting you the funds to maintain that. And then you're going to be getting a portion of their monthly revenue anyways, because it's usually like a 50-50, a 60-40, or a 70-30 split. So now we partnered up with Vlad, in his company, and now we're doing streamlined distribution. And
so the ideal candidate would come in and pay you a lump sum, and then over the next few years they get dividends, or how's that?
So it's kind of like a dividends, I would say, is a monthly. So right now we're only working with accredited investors, and if you have,
which is $1 million more in the bank liquid.
Usually it's $1 million or more. Usually what we ask for is a POF, or if they just can show us a bank account straight from the Zoom, we're okay with that. But you're going to have to do like an initial either $50,000, $75,000, or $100,000.
Have skin in the game.
To have skin in the game, and then you have to have a designated spend monthly, and it can be less than $50,000.
So this spend is for what? Advertising, for marketing,
for inventory.
Inventory, okay.
Yeah, for the products, because we're doing a straight wholesale model. It's literally one of the oldest businesses ever. So it's not like anything different from a retail store like Walmart or Walgreens.
So how are you competing with Amazon? Because Amazon is the big dog in here.
Yeah. Well, it was basically crowd raising as far as funds, right? And the way that we did that was selling the assets. And by selling the assets, we basically got all this money, and now we buy out the entire demand. So let's just say there's 1,000 products on Amazon of X product being sold. We'll buy all 1,000 prior to the clients. And then
is that kind of like when they have like a super high-end piece of art and a bunch of people can buy into it? So when it sells,
not like that.
Same process?
It's like let's just say CC Suites, right? Downstairs, they have, I don't know, donuts, and they only have 500 pieces of donuts, and it's for, either, 500 people, or I come in and I say, how about I buy all the 500, you sell them at 2, I'm going to sell it to everybody that would like to come in at 4, right? And that's what we do. So we control the overall, buying power from every seller in Amazon.
So you're holding on to a bunch of inventory.
Now we're holding on to a bunch of inventory.
Isn't that scary?
No.
Because you're going to push it.
We're going to push it.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, there's no reward with no risk, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So touch on that, because I think it's one of the interesting things where you can risk a certain amount and get to a certain spot. But when you get to a bigger level, you risk more and you get more.
Yeah. I think at this point we're just like
balls to the wall,
man. I think at this point, if everything came crumbling down, I would be able to duplicate it once again. Yeah. I'm not,
because you have the skills.
Yeah. It's either that or I'd go back to a corporate job and I'd be just fine, and I've taken, multiple businesses and, made them millions of dollars. And I have the track record and all the data to prove that. If I did, an interview, they would be like, either overqualified, or we got to pay you more, know. So I'm not too worried. Ultimately, here at this situation that we've come across, the end game is basically just to set ourselves up for not only for passivity on our end, but also creating an asset that beats out every asset class as well for our clients.
Nice.
Because you have a lot of bad actors in this industry that will say they're doing something, but they're not. At least for me, when I speak to everybody, I'm completely transparent. We don't offer any guarantees. We're not going to bullshit you. If you don't
could lose your money just like everybody else.
You can lose your money just like everybody else. And if you don't put money in, you're not going to make money. It's just plain and simple. And it's your obligation to make sure you take care of your taxes. So here in this situation, we've found ourselves in a great opportunity to be able to set ourselves completely apart with everybody else.
Yeah, because you hold the leverage.
Yeah, so there's I'm trying to remember his name. I think his name is Tony Tony Rodriguez. He was actually one of the first ones to actually create this entire business model. And he became, I mean, just a huge, he actually had Grant Cardone on one of his ads.
Oh, nice.
But I mean, even him, you know, he was doing arbitration. And, you know, a lot of these people are just saying that they're doing FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon. But they're actually doing fulfilled by merchant, which sometimes can void terms of service or terms and conditions with Amazon, and then you get suspended, and now all your assets are frozen and all your cash is frozen.
So this is the people that you're going.
And this is where we're telling people, like, hey, if you want to, do you want to,
they're dumping their inventory.
They're dumping their inventory and we're just taking it. But ultimately, the people that have already gone with people like that, or they're doing FBM. Do you want a Ford Ranger, or do you want a Ferrari? Mm-hmm. And I'm a Ferrari, you know, and I shit you not, one of the biggest things that we do is we also self-invest in education to make sure that we're continuously growing.
Yeah, well, you have to, man, because with the way the world is working now, if you don't have skills, you're kind of irrelevant. Yeah,
I mean, Vlad is one of the biggest proponents on self-education. I mean, we go to trade shows to make sure that we're getting with brands, you know, and they come up to him to basically save them from, you know, crossing over territories and just dismantling their entire brand. Because you have the shareholders, you have people that invested, and, you know, what happens if you have a product that's overly sold and you're not controlling, you know, the supply chain? You know, sometimes you kind of water it down, and then it just completely becomes...
Eats up the market.
Yeah, eats up the market. So now what we do is we control that. We just say, hey, well, we got $20 million, you know, we'll buy all of it if you want, you know, but how much are you going to pay us for the safety and protection, you know, and they pay us now. So we've found ourselves in unique situations as well for licensing agreements with top brands like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Frito-Lay, which is going to get really, really interesting that we're looking into.
Sounds exciting, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, you know, and one of my best friends, Eric Augustine, who's also an associate of mine, I would say, you know, a lot of people listen to this and say, like, how does someone sell something that's like, you know, $150 to, you know, $200,000. And by the way, we sell stores that are already making, you know, a passive income. We have 2 right now for $1.2 million, which I've sold before, straight up. And, you know, this sounds like the hardest thing to sell, but it's actually the easiest, I would say.
It's because you're talking to a different clientele. They're already ready to either invest in something with that amount of money, or you're not going after the regular person. Yeah,
one of the biggest things I will always say, because, you know, especially here in the Valley mindset, you know, somebody you'll come up with a business opportunity and say, hey, let me $5,000 and I'll give you a 10% return. And then you do the math for them, it's $500. Mm-hmm. They're like, no. They say, it doesn't make sense. I want $2,500. I want 50%. But most businesses, you look at your IRA Roth, you know, maybe historically 8 to 10% return per annum. That's annually. When you can get an asset like this, and it, you know, you'll look at anywhere between 10 to 20% ROI monthly, depending on what you put in, right?
Right.
But that beats out almost every asset class. You buy an apartment complex, you're going to put 20% down. Cool. And then you got 4 tenants, right? What if you have one missing? You know, where's that extra money coming from to pay off the mortgage, and how much are you cash flowing? Right. Usually, for every $50,000, you're cash flowing like $300. So
you have to build up a ton.
You have to build up a ton, and then the other thing is that then you over leverage on the situations like that, because you do cash out refi, and then now you're still on the hook for a mortgage. And then you won't roll into another one. Now you're in 2 mortgages, which is cool, right? But if you don't have cash flow on the back end, how do you support that?
So these are investing options for people who are trying to get away from, or trying to, I guess, diversify their portfolio.
You want to diversify your portfolio into tangible assets like, you know, real estate, but you also want to look at these nuanced assets that are coming about, because, I mean, like we were talking about before we started ChatGPT, right? Like, this is changing the game. I mean, before it was blue collar workers, you know, were taken out by like, you know, McDonald's, you know, kiosks. Now we have ChatGPT. People who were copywriters, they're gone.
Yeah.
That's white collar work. Yeah. So if you don't utilize or look at any different, you know, facets of asset classes that you can get into, I mean, you're going to be left in the dark. And then, like you said earlier, if you don't have multitude of different, you know, avenues of income,
yeah, if one of them collapses, you're screwed.
I would say the least dependable person that you can depend on is yourself, because you have health issues. So you can get in a car accident. You have a family. You don't have a good life insurance policy. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I get into, like UILs, ULIs, that you do. Like if you do over leverage for your real estate properties, that takes care of that, and your family doesn't, have to worry about. But I mean, overall, you should be looking at, how can I make money on YouTube? How can I make money with ChatGPT? How can I make money with Amazon? Can I start a marketing company like yourself? I mean, you took this, it was what you say, it was either this or Dairy Queen,
right?
I'd say you made it work,
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the same thing as just sheer desperation. It's like, I didn't want to go back to where I was, because I knew if I stayed there, I would be there the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I had to do something, and I'm glad, because it's always very hard when I was married at the time. Yeah. So it's hard to go up to my wife and say, hey, I want to try this thing, and I know it's going to be the future. But at that point, like, who the hell is going to believe you? Like, this guy's going to go off and do something stupid, like ruin his job that he already has that's set. He's getting paid so much a month. Like, why would you mess that up? Those are the things that people have to deal with. Yeah. And that's why it's so hard to jump to the next thing, because you have your responsibilities. Yep. It's insane.
Yeah, and that's where you want to like find somebody that helps you and kind of help sees the vision. If you don't, then oh man, that makes it that much harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I applaud you. I mean, to be able to like take a completely different step, in the right direction, where most people say it's the wrong. They want to play it safe. They want to get a check every day, or once a week, or twice, or bi-monthly. Things like that are cool. But I'd rather get paid every day.
Yeah, same here, man.
I'd rather get paid every day, and I'd rather be able to say that I help people as well, because, some people that I do initially did start out with, they're making a passive income on top of what they're making, and they're able to put into their 401k, and they've been able to do things like maybe get into a better apartment and
have a better lifestyle.
Yeah, and because they leveraged, and there's multitude of different ways. I mean, I didn't even know about credit card leveraging and shotgunning. You can create a whole entire finance company based off of credit cards. Yeah. There's a guy that I met over at a conference, the owner of CreditWise, and he literally took credit cards, and he made it into a completely like his own business. And now he's doing like about I think it's like $5 million in loans, creations on a monthly basis. Yeah. So
wow, man. So let's talk about ChatGPT. I think it's a hot topic for everybody. I have friends that are like, it's cheating and stuff like that. I was like, dude, like if you don't use it, like you're gonna be obsolete, bro. Yeah. Like I'm using it for productivity right now. It's like it's boosted my productivity by 10 times.
Yeah,
kind of touch on it.
The copyright is one of the biggest things in writing, just like an advertisement. The really cool thing about it is that it just does it. It gives you a template, and then you add your zest into it. Yeah. Because you can. I mean, obviously, it can mimic whoever you would like it to, but if it's your own baby, as far as an ad or
you
copyright,
get to control it. You get to direct it.
Yeah, you get to write it yourself, and I use it. I have friends that are using it for school. I won't say who, but ultimately at the end of the day, I mean, it's kind of like YouTube. I mean, now everybody uses it, right? It's like Google. Now everybody uses it. Hey, is it cheating that you Google how to change your brake pads? Yeah. No, it's cheating. Don't do that. Go to your mechanic. You just
learn the hard way.
Yeah, man. Or you just took away $500 from your local mechanic. What are you doing? You're cheating. Yeah. No, you're saving yourself.
Yeah. You're equipping yourself with the skills.
You're giving yourself a new tool in the tool shed. Yeah. Is basically what you're doing, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I think a lot of people. It's because they don't really know how to implement it into their lives. So then they come to you and say, no, you're cheating. Mm-hmm. I just think I'm being ingenuitive. Like it's just me adapting. Yeah. And if I'm, getting better at what I do and you're getting left behind, you shouldn't be upset. You should be like, hey, can you show me?
What is it about that will stop people from asking like for help, or not even help? Like they'll see you and they'll be like envious, or the whole crab mentality of the Rio Grande Valley. I think that happens everywhere.
I'll tell you, as soon as I drive in, I feel it. Like
really?
I drive
so
in,
this does not happen from where you're from?
No, it does. It's just I know less people that are like family. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have amazing friends here. I mean, from councilmen to, judges and attorneys and, doctors. I know a lot of people here and they're amazing individuals, but the majority of the people here, they have this like, it's like a want to like drag you down, like just like the crab mentality that you're talking about. And it's primarily because there's not a lot of jobs here. There's not a lot of opportunity here. And it's not necessarily their fault, but it's culturally what happened. I know a bunch of people like that will say that. I mean, when I started doing my e-commerce business, I remember I had family members calling my father, and you already know what happened to my father with the strokes and everything, but would tell him that I was a drug dealer. Man, I'm not no drug dealer. I said I make internet money.
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing that people see driving a badass car is like, that guy's a drug dealer.
But
that guy's a drug dealer.
He's
probably selling weed right now, cocaine.
But that's the thing. I'm flashy in other ways. Don't get me wrong. And everybody likes to be flashy here and there because we like to be pretty. Girls like to wear makeup. Guys like to wear jewelry. I just, I like to spend money on people when I go out. I love to spend money on people because it's like how I say thank you. That if you were good to me and nice, like shoot, I'll buy a bottle and I'll take you here. We'll go there but people will see that and see how I was traveling. I had an apartment in Pacific Highway, downtown San Diego, on the 24th floor.
Wow.
Overlooking the bay. I was traveling in Miami, spending like $15,000-$20,000 a weekend.
Damn.
I went to Poppy's.
How do you justify that? Because that's a thing to learn. Because I know if you're from the Rio Grande Valley, you want to be tight with your money. How did you get that out of your head?
Honestly, I had to get it out. It was something that you have to experience, because to be able to take a yacht and park it at Kiki's on the river, just the docking is $500. So most people are like to walk in, the dinner's going to be $2,000. My dinner was like roughly like about $4,300, and I had a couple people, and I paid for everything, but we docked the boat, Kiki's on the river, Poppy Steakhouse, Story. We saw Cascade live. I went to 11. People from Miami will know what 11 is in space. It's a strip club. It was different, a very different lifestyle, something that like most people here don't get to experience. And it's not justifiable.
It's achievable.
It's achievable, but it wasn't justified. It was something where like, I was making all this money, and I had always been very, very tight with my money. And I just said, man, well, I'm not going to leave here with it. You might as well, spend it. Yeah.
You can only make that. You can only make that. I guess you can only get there by when you have enough money.
Yeah, I was making about $60,000 at that time a month. So I was making, and we would have fluctuations, like sometimes 20, sometimes, I had $100,000 month once. So 14, 20,000, here and there. It wasn't a lot to me because I was already making it, and then I would just write it off to a certain extent. On some things, not everything. You can't justify a yacht all the time.
Pulling up to your dinner spot.
Yeah, you can't justify renting a yacht sometimes, but so maybe the travel and some of the meals I wrote off. But it was some stuff that like I definitely had to experience. I'll tell you, going to San Diego, I walked off the plane, and I felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. I felt like I was inadequate, because a lot of people, what they tend to do is, and I think this is something wrong within our culture, especially in the Rio Grande Valley. Everybody is in a very depressive state where they say, you can't do this and you can't do that. But instead of doing that, why don't we ask each other, or your kids, or your friends, why don't we figure that out together? And to be quite honest, when I went there, I've always had a sense of inadequacy because I was always told I wasn't going to be shit, and now.
Was it kind of like an imposter syndrome?
It was definitely imposter syndrome.
How did you get over that?
Just knowing that I was better. And it's not better than others, just better than what I was. And, some people, you ask a lot of people that I'm braggadocious, but I'd be like, hey, if you come to me, anybody, and you can ask most of the people that do know me, if they ever ask me for help, I always stop and I help them. Yeah. I don't care. I'm really.
Well, how did you develop that emotional intelligence?
Because your overall ability to make money is based off of the equity of the people around you.
Say it again.
The overall ability to make money is based off of the equity of the people around you. So like the equitability is like, the quality of the people around you, and what they can bring to the table. And I'll tell you, to be honest, I also saw my dad. My dad was a pro boxer for 18 years, and he was a HEB meat packer. But he had, attorneys and doctors and, judges, and they loved him. And he would go and do things for him. It would from cutting grass and stuff like that. Sure, I'll go help you cut your grass. It doesn't mean just because I'm making all this money doesn't mean I can't get physical. Yeah. And I'll do that. And I've done that for people around here. I mean, I'll tell you, like I was running in the employee retention credit. I think I got one of my buddies like, $3.2 million. I made $320,000 the first week of this year.
Damn.
So like
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah. Last year was crazy. Last year was a crazy year. So definitely was a good start to the year. But and the way I cultivated that was that like, hey, is there anything I can do for you all the time? And because at the end of the day, if you treat people well and you love on them, and sometimes you just got to lend an ear, and just kind of be a soundboard, it goes a long way. Yeah. And you
just not listening.
Yeah. And then you don't necessarily have to give people money. As long as you're just genuine, loving, and understanding, people will see that for what it is. The real people, not the fake ones. And that's what's actually been what's propelled me through most of my career.
So before we finish off the podcast, give 5 people that people need to listen to on YouTube, specifically because they need to know the names, and what they're gonna get from them.
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest ones is Jordan Peterson. Like you touched on him, his sense of just awareness. I find myself lost in life a lot, even though I seem to have it all together. Nobody does. Yeah. We're all figuring this shit out. I mean,
everybody has their own problems.
Oh man, yeah, nobody's perfect, and not only that, but like we have a lot of deep issues that we don't talk about. We're not okay with discussing, and Jordan kind of puts it in a perspective where it helps you understand that like what you're going through is normal, and then he's also a great businessman. He'll really get, and then he's also very spiritual and religious, which is, I don't go to church a lot, but I'll tell you I'm very spiritual and I do pray, but he just puts it in a manner, in a way that resonates with me. I would say Alex Hormozy is a great one. Although recently he said that he was all natural. Yeah, I was kind of like, I don't know, bro. When he said that he ate like 5,000 calories every day, I was like, and then he was just all natural growth. I said, I don't know.
I'm going to see him in April for a 3-day coaching immersion class. Dude, I can't wait to go and pick his brain and stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting guy. I mean, he started everything from gyms. I emulated him quite a bit because he was into lifting weights, and he started at the gym just like me, and he was sleeping on the floor and doing stuff like that. I would sleep at studios, to make sure I would get to the clients at 4 a.m. and stuff like that. So
you did what you had to do to become successful.
Yeah, I mean, I was a personal trainer for quite some time too, and and he was, and there was a lot of similarities. So I was definitely drawn to him. Gary Vee's a good one. Although I wasn't really, I knew NFTs were kind of off. I mean, maybe staking was a little bit better of a situation of NFTs, so you didn't get into it because a lot of people lost money recently with crypto.
We were one of those groups of people that bought land for $14,000 and then it plummeted to the ground.
No, I was staking. So last year I lost about $80,000 in investments because I was staking. Everything was blowing up. And I was staking against NFTs and NFT projects. And I mean, I was making I think daily I was making about $1,200 to $1,500. Damn. And I got a little bit greedy, and that was definitely a learning experience. But Gary is a great one. I'm talking about staples, because most people don't really know how or who to really turn to. And these people are going to give you just a well-roundness of, what to kind of look for and how to pinpoint opportunities. I know Gary got really big into Turo when it first came out, and Turo was a big one. Now, we're having a little bit of an issue with the economy. and overall interest rates. So,
and it just goes to show that every entrepreneur is not right.
Yeah, but the thing is that they're great ideas, and the other thing is that you could actually maybe even start your own rental business when it comes to cars, get your own fleet or something. It gives you an idea, and it gives you a starting point,
a glimpse of the future.
Yeah, definitely.
I really like Grant Cardone.
I love Grant Cardone, and then Leah. Those guys are great. Grant, even though it's a little bit, I would say mainstream, I guess is real put together. That he makes a lot of great points. I mean, he was a drug addict. Yeah. He was an alcoholic. And there's a lot of people that resonate with that and overcame that. And for him to be able to be so open and transparent, I think that's really great. And the fact that he would even be able to put that and be where he's at as a billionaire himself, that's really incredible because, me, myself, I'm not perfect. I like to drink and, I like to lift weights and I like to eat and overindulge and maybe participate in gluttony when it comes to eating.
Well, the thing is, you work so hard to get there. It doesn't fucking affect you, man. If I drink every weekend, I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be getting fat.
Yeah. I mean, I took a break for a month and then this past weekend it was pretty bad, but it's kind of one of those things that sometimes you have to go through in order to reset. And then you say, I did it. Yeah. I go back. Out of your system. Yeah, I got out of my system. And then Leah, I forgot his first name, but he's kind of like a Grant Cardone character. And then the Asian guy with the hair, I forgot his name.
I probably don't follow.
Yeah. Oh shoot.
Or I'm sure. Oh, no, it's not Kawasaki.
No, not Robert Kawasaki. Robert's old school, and I think you need to be more forward thinking. But this cat, he basically started out Empire as home flipping, and then he created a template for all of his contractors that followed just two different models as far as paint. Material and everything. I forgot his name, but very great guy. He talks a lot with Grant Cardone, Alex Hermosi, Jeremy Leah, or I think it's Jeremy Leah, and he's our age. I'm 30.
I'm 41.
I forgot, but you look great because you lost so much weight.
Yes, thank you.
But he's my age. He played AAA baseball. And it's so crazy. I know everything about him but his name. but he talks about different ways to make money, and he started a Airbnb arbitration as well. And these are multifaceted assets that you can look into to make money. And then what he also did and what's really, really interesting is through his Airbnbs, he ended up creating also a cleaning business. And to maintain his Airbnbs. So then he offered that service externally as well. So he compounded on it. And
it's extracting as much possible things as you can from that one business.
I would tell you look at trash, pickup, or recycling. There's nobody, the laundromats. I want laundromats. I want a ton of laundromats, car washes, storage units.
Yeah, tons of car washes here.
Yeah, I know. What is it? Dale Shine.
Yeah.
Dale Shine.
There's so many, dude. They're literally everywhere.
Yeah, that we all know they're washing something else, Josh. We know they're washing. They're not washing cars, but they're washing something else. But the point is that. One thing, if anybody could take from this conversation, is that if a little brown boy from the valley can go and do stuff, and despite the world telling him no, I think everybody can at least put forth some effort. And if you fail, you fail, but at least you're able to say that you tried. And the other thing is that don't stop at just one thing. Look at a multitude of different things, because you might listen to somebody and say, just be good at what you're good at, but maybe you're the best at something else. Yeah. And you won't know if you don't try.
Oh man, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, man.
I appreciate you.
The Sesh guys, Manny right here. Boom.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Later.